Yay! All right. We are live with Joseph Brittain. Welcome, 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 you guys. It is Friday, August 4th. I can't believe it's already August, but I am on here. I haven't been live in a while, but I wanted to start celebrating my athletes live again, just because I feel like it's so important to share their stories and realize that you are not alone. If you have decided to do a triathlon and you were scared about it and you didn't know what to do, like some of these stories are so awesome. And I wanted to share Joseph's in particular because it holds a special place in my heart. So Joseph and I met at the Ride on Ryan Triathlon, which, as you guys know, is the sprint distance triathlon I do every year in Savannah, Georgia, in memory of my deceased boyfriend, Ryan Williams. And of course, I want as many people to attend that race. We had our biggest race registry ever this year, which I'm so excited about because the race is still growing, but it's for beginners. And the whole goal is to get people to fall in love with the sport, right? And so I met Joseph at the pre-race packet pickup, and we gave him a few tips, right? But we're going to talk about his journey from that race and how we met and a little bit about him to his finish line in his most recent Olympic distance triathlon at Game On in St. Augustine, where he actually got first place in his first ever Olympic distance triathlon. So it's such an exciting journey. And I'd love to introduce you to Joseph Brittain. So Joseph, introduce yourself and tell us what you do and all the details that you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like Erinne said, met in May this year, and then, just had a lot of fun, hanging out with them on race day there, and, got the chance to kind of do this training program, and, they kept me, motivated, and, kind of saw me, to the finish line, and it was, great experience. Live here in
What do you do?
Savannah.
Introduce yourself a little more. Like, what do you
Yeah.
do for a living?
Yeah. So yeah, live in Savannah. Work for like a civil engineering company. Do a lot of like site development, design. And environment. Helping clients get the permit, state and local permits that they need. So
Yeah, that's
um,
helpful. And do you have a family? Like, how old are you?
yeah, 29. Got a girlfriend here in Savannah. Been dating for a couple of years now, so definitely, she's definitely been along for the ride.
Does she
Um,
do triathlons too?
she has not, but I've convinced her to do an aqua bike in the
Yay!
future. So she,
Maybe we can get her to do Ride on Ryan next year. That would be
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I know. I think we definitely could convince her to do that. So
Yeah, so let's talk about Ride on Ryan. You did the sprint try, and I think you got on the podium there too, right?
yep.
What'd you do? How'd you do at the race? Was that your first triathlon or no?
It was my third sprint. I had done two sprints the summer before, and it was, and like you say, didn't get on the podium either of those two times. But I kind of knew that this summer I wanted to go again, and prepared a little bit more for the ride on Ryan. Yeah, and so got first in age group in that sprint one there too. So
That's awesome. And so then we had a raffle prize for the beginner try program, and I knew you lived in Savannah, so we were going to have to do it virtually, which is totally fine, right?
mhm.
So were you excited when you won the raffle?
Oh yeah, no, I was, yeah, I was very excited. So yeah, not like you say, it was more than you know is it was a lot. The program was a lot harder than I anticipated too. So but
Remember, we're trying to encourage people. We're
no,
going to
no,
get
no,
into
no. I wasn't harder, but yeah, no, I was definitely, a good
now.
challenge. Like, I felt like it prepared me very well.
Yeah. So he joined the beginner try program, which is a group triathlon training program for a beginner, someone who's done less than 5 triathlons or wants to do their first sprint or Olympic. And in your case, your goal, we found out right away, was the Olympic distance triathlon. So we do have a workout program that has a little more volume than just a sprint. And I know you'd never had a coach before. Is that true?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, we put the program together. We have weekly coach calls. Coach Ollie was coaching you. How did she do? Were you happy with Coach Ollie?
Yes, very happy with Coach Ollie.
She's
It
awesome.
was, yeah, no, very, very fun. I like that there's, a lot of encouragement and kind of like you know,
Banter.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the weekly coach calls help us stay in touch with you and help you stay accountable to the workouts, even though we're not in the same location, right? So that's the key. Zoom has made that accessible worldwide. And the fact that, I just want to commend you because you showed up. You showed up to those group calls and you weren't the only person in the program. There was a couple other people, but it's so cool to have the WhatsApp group and then have the coach calls. And you guys are constantly encouraging each other, and you
Mhm.
guys had your backs, right? So we knew you did that 5K, the run race. And
Yeah,
when you finished that race, I was like, oh my goodness, Joseph is fast. Right? So tell
yeah,
us about, did you know you were that fast as a runner? Like, tell us a little bit about a background. And also, I want to know about
yeah,
what made you sign up for Ride on Ryan? Like, what was the journey to get there?
yeah. So, yeah, I guess sports, athletics, kind of competition always was, big part of my life. I think, baseball and wrestling was what I did kind of through high school. And then, I got to college and, I just kind of, aside from maybe some intramural, softball, I wasn't, always competitive and, and then just kind of life after school, get busy, different things, you just,
Yeah. Mhm.
wake up one day and it's, 5 years later and, hadn't, you know, just hadn't, athletics, fitness hadn't really been
Right.
something I'd made a priority in my life in a while. And I was, so that was probably January 2022. And I had a ski trip coming up with friends from college and I'd been with them before and I was like, man, like I can't keep up with these guys like on the slope, like, they're ready to go. Like, you know, I was like, I gotta get ready. So
Yeah, you got to get in shape. That was your
yeah,
motivation.
that was my
Cool.
motivation. So yeah, I did my first 5K since high school, March 22 after the ski trip, because I'd ran a lot to get ready and I was like, oh, this will be fun. And and so then, it went, you know, I guess adrenaline and things like that. I, ran it in under 25 minutes. And at the time I was like, wow, I didn't think I could do that. I'm very surprised that I did that, So then I think you know, so then I think I did a 10K after and I met some people like a run group here, that kept me motivated. So I, started running with a group of people and just kind of I was like, well, I always liked I always liked swimming. I never did anything competitive. So, but it was just like, I don't know, the idea of
Good.
triathlon just sounded fun. And I just, decided to do it.
So the first two sprints that you did last summer, like, did you have any idea of what you were doing, or you just kind of showed up and you did them?
Yeah, I just kind of showed up when I just did them. The first one was Jacksonville sprint and, and I did, and like you say, I was running probably 3 days a week. And I was just like, well, if I can, I bought a road bike on Facebook and I'd, gotten to where I could ride, 10, 15 mile, I'd just go do 10, 15 mile, maybe 20
Just
mile
did the
ride.
volume. You just did the
Yeah,
distances, right?
exactly. And it's the same with running. I didn't, when I would run, I would probably run like, I would run the same speed all the time.
Right. Yeah, you never
And
varied it, right?
I never
Okay.
varied it.
So that's pretty interesting because you fast forward, you do the Ride on Ryan, you already do well, right? It's a
Mhm.
beginner try. I'm not trying to say that you wouldn't do well in another race, but it is a beginner try. There are not that many people that have done a lot of triathlons at that race, and that's the
Mhm.
whole point. So you knew you wanted to go more, and you happened to get the raffle prize. So you started training with us, and then you did that 5K. Did you realize what you could do at that 5K? Like, what was your time on that 5K?
It was 20 minutes. It was like 20 minutes, right at like 20, it was right at 20 minutes. I wanted to
Yeah,
break
like 5
20.
minutes faster in a year, like, do you
Yeah.
understand? Like, that's a big deal. You know that, right?
Yeah. I think so.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So when Ollie and I looked at that, we're like, whoo, we have got a live one here. Yes, yes, yes. So we were super psyched. And you had already been training a couple weeks in the program when you did that. And then you go on to just last weekend do your first Olympic. And, let's talk about the journey through the training. So every week we have the coach call and you have your training peaks to follow along. Like, how was that for you, having a coach for the first time?
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was awesome. One thing I know we kind of talked we were going to talk about is kind of like what you were skeptical of.
Yes.
I would say I wasn't skeptical of a coach, but I think I was skeptical of drills because I was like, oh well, I just need to get in better shape. Like if I get in better shape, like I'll do better. And I think this was the first time I ever did, swimming drills, running drills, bike drill. It was the first time I did drills on any of them, like I just spent
You
my time.
poo-pooed it. You were like, I don't need that stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, no, when you're doing the drills, you could feel, what you were improving on doing them, like I could feel, doing one leg drills on the bike that, yeah, I really do favor my right leg more, and then, you know, start doing
Yeah, it's
some.
crazy because you're not alone. I mean, I have people that hire me and pay big bucks and then they don't do the drills and they wonder why they're not getting better, right? The drills are so essential. And I just want to thank you so much for speaking to that because fitness is only one component of the entire journey. Fitness is your cardiovascular fitness. And that's actually sometimes hard for people to follow along and build up their fitness. And what the drills do is even no matter what fitness level you're at, you're improving, right? Because you're breaking down the entire pedal stroke or the entire swim cycle or the entire run mechanics. You're breaking them down into littler pieces so you get good at them. So then when you go and do the swim, the bike, and the run, you feel stronger, you feel more efficient, you feel like you're doing each thing better. Would you say that's kind of true?
Yeah. I would say I still really do not like the kickboard in the pool, but I do I can tell like after I do the kickboard and then I get off like the kickboard and do my swim sets, I can feel I'm kicking better than I did in my
Exactly.
warm up.
And I do want to tell you, you will get better. So
Yeah.
kicking is one of those things because we are in a seated position like all day long. And when you
Mhm.
kick, you're building your strength from your hips with straight legs. And that's just foreign to us because we're sitting so much. We're sitting on the bike and then we're sitting at work and we're sitting in the car. So it takes some time to get strong there. But just know that it will get better and it will get more easy. And sometimes swimming and doing kick sets with other people can make it a little bit more fun. So don't give up on your kick sets, okay?
Yeah. I haven't given up on them, but they were definitely my least favorite thing in the pool. I was like always
So
glad the pool
yeah, I always
was.
say that which does not kill us makes us stronger, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then you can always use fins, right? So if you need
Yeah.
to use fins for a couple of the sets and the or reps and then take the fins off, that those also can help you, right? And then the video analysis, we've never done video with you. That's my next level program is with video analysis. I'd love to see some video of you, in the water, on the bike, and in the run, because we're going to take you to the whole nother level with
Yeah.
a video analysis, right? So what
Mhm.
other things were you skeptical about coaching or the process? Anything else?
No, like you said, I don't know about skeptical. Plenty of things I learned.
Okay, share with
Yeah,
us.
so yeah, plenty of things I learned. I think, I think something I had done some nutrition during I'd done some nutrition during like races. I, had done a half before the program where, I did, some nutrition during the race, but I never did like nutrition during my training sessions. And I found that really before I wasn't trying to hit certain zones or paces during training, but I just learned when I was trying to you know hit certain zones that if I didn't eat good before my session or during the session, then like I wasn't able to hit those zones, you know.
Awesome. That's a
Mhm.
huge awareness, right? Because
Yeah.
you're not putting gas in your own car, your body, right? And when you're younger, honestly, you can get away with it. Like you can get away with it a lot more. I'm sure in college and high school, you probably didn't think about food, right? You didn't fuel
Mhm.
your body for performance. But as you age, it has to happen. And the higher you want to go, the faster you want to perform, or the more serious you get, the more fueling for performance and fueling for training is going to help you, train better and then ultimately race better, right? That's an awesome observation. I love it. Anything
Yeah.
else?
Yeah, I just like you say, I think just being more aware in general. I think seeing what, it was, seeing what it takes to like not what it takes, but seeing how I can structure, having that structure of how that went was very helpful for me, because I think sometimes, it really helped having it planned out in the same structure every week, to really be able to get,
You can
what, yeah, be consistent.
Yeah, so you came to the sport like, okay, well, this is the distance I have to run. This is the distance I have to swim. This is the distance I have to bike. So I'm just going to I call it volume training, right?
Yep.
And it'll get you to a certain level, right? But and that's the whole beauty of the coaching program and the system, right? And having the workouts, laid out for you. You just show up and do them. You might not understand how or why they're put together in this order or on this day, right? But you did that. You showed up and you did the work, right? And you said that you really understood now why the benefit of coaching is there, right? Why it
Mhm.
kind of helps you put the puzzle pieces together to have the ultimate result on race day, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And so, okay, so let's fast forward. You get through the 8 weeks and your race is coming up. And I remember listening to the coach call and you were pretty nervous. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
heard you, telling Ollie that you were kind of a bit nervous, but you submitted your race plan and we gave you feedback about it. And I was really confident that you're going to have a great day. I didn't know you're going to get first place. But yeah, tell us about the race itself. Let's walk through the actual day of the race, because you had some challenges. It wasn't
yeah,
like this cookie cutter flat water swim and stuff like that. So let's talk
yeah,
about the race itself.
yeah. So yeah, I had like you said, never done an ocean swim, anything. So yeah, I had just gotten a tri bike 2 weeks beforehand. I'd been riding a road bike, but so I'd probably gotten 3 rides on it. But I felt comfortable, but it still just was, still nervous, racing on it first time.
Yeah, for sure.
And get there on Saturday, and I do my brick, workout on Saturday, and
The
uh
warm up that we
warm
recommend
up.
on the
That's
race
right.
course. So you get rid of those butterfly, or you get rid of the nervousness because you know what to expect the next day if you go warm up on the race course. So way to go. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I did that, but I think I walked away more nervous because I was like,
Oh no.
no, well, not of the bike, not of the bike or the run. Bike, like you say, I felt a lot better after, biking on the course and everything. But
Good.
on the swim, with the ocean swim, I was like, man, these
They're
waves are big.
waves. Yeah.
Yeah, they're waves,
Wait for them. Yeah.
Um, and I think but yeah, so like you say, I was a little nervous of the ocean swim. I felt like I was, yeah, I knew I was prepared, but I also, it's just kind of like, oh well, what if my goggles get knocked, start overthinking a little bit,
Right. Yeah.
um
Yeah,
but
having everything prepared in your mind though, helps. But okay, so I know the waves were big. So let's talk about the race starts and what happens. Take us through the swim, because I know that was probably your biggest struggle, right?
yeah, yeah. So then, like you say, race day gets there, and it was, a lot of, getting everything set up, all that, went pretty smoothly. And then, I kind of hung out in the middle of my wave, ready to go for the swim. And, but then, once you kind of, you know, gun goes off and kind of run out there and dive through the first one, it went good, like I
Autopilot, right?
yeah, just went kind of on autopilot. I didn't have a lot of experience swimming in currents, and so it took me, a little while to get consistent with, my sighting. But after after I was out there, and having to correct myself, I kind of got in a better, rotation of
Better rhythm.
swimming, got a better rhythm. Yeah.
Cool. And there was 2 loops. So you had to go out, pass the waves, parallel to the beach, come back in, and then you had to do that again. And you
Mhm.
said in your I have all my athletes write a post-race report. But you said you felt a lot better the second loop, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. First loop, like you say, when I was when I was perpendicular to the current, I got off track a couple times, but second time through, I was just knew that I just had to be more aware
Right. Sight
and
more often. When there's
yeah.
more current, the more current you have, the more often you have to sight. But once you've
Mhm,
done it once, you can kind of figure out your way a little bit better. So,
mhm.
okay, cool. So how did it feel when you got out? Because sometimes when people don't train the swim and then they're really nervous on top of it, they waste a lot of energy in the water. Do you feel like you did that, or were you able to conserve yourself a little bit?
Um, First lap, I did not conserve great. First lap, I got out and I was like, wow, like I'm tired. Like, I could tell I
Tired,
was,
yeah.
yeah,
Emotionally and physically tired, right?
yeah. So I could tell I was tired. So second lap, I went out there and I kind of knew that I was like, hey, I don't have to, I don't have to go full gas, especially when I'm with the current, so I kind of did the same thing when I was going. I didn't want to not swim as hard and get off track. So I kind of did same effort when I was perpendicular to the current. And then I was like, hey, I'm
Chill.
gonna kind of cruise a little bit when I'm swimming along the beach and then
Yeah.
come back in, hard
Yeah.
again.
That's good.
And so I
And just
felt
know
good.
the more events you have where you're swimming, you can recover from your swim pretty quickly, believe it or not. So you'll
Mhm.
get to a place where you can go hard, hard, hard on the swim and then recover while you're on the bike, but you have to train it, right? This was your
Mhm.
first Olympic and it's a lot longer swim. So you did a good thing by kind of reining yourself in to then conserve a little bit more energy after realizing, hey, I might have gone a little too hard that first lap. I really kind of need to go within so that I have energy for the bike and the run, right? It's not just a swim race, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was really smart of you. And so when you came out and you got on the bike, and you said you've only been on this bike like 3 or 4 times, I noticed in your notes that you said you were able to hold arrow almost the entire time and even drink from your arrow position. That's pretty awesome. So that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Tell us
So
the bike.
yeah,
Yeah.
bike was my biggest surprise. I'd been doing the rides, but I'd been doing a lot of riding inside, just with schedule and things. And so I really didn't know what to expect. Making my race plan, I think I said I was going to go, just a little bit over 19 miles an hour is my pace. And
Yeah.
just because I
Blow
didn't,
up.
yeah, I didn't want to blow up. I didn't want to, not kind of, you know, I didn't want to.
You wanted to respect the distance because you
Yeah,
had a 10K to run off the bike, right?
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And so,
Mhm.
I hadn't sustained, anything over 20, more than, 20 minutes or something. But, I got on the bike and I just felt good. I don't know. It's just race adrenaline, it's whatever.
Sure.
Got on there and, 5 miles in, I was at like a 20, point something mile per hour pace. And I was like, well, I feel good. I'm going to just keep it here,
Right.
and then I was
Your heart rate
halfway.
wasn't too high, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that was kind of what I was using to pace myself was heart rate. And
Good.
so, yeah, I was at I kept my heart rate, around like 160, and just kind of like on the edge of that zone 4. And
Perfect.
like you say, I
Okay.
was
Yeah,
halfway.
that's it.
I was, halfway and I was at 20, point something, miles per hour. And I was like, you know what? Like like, this is going so well. Like I kind of want to I think I can push harder. I'm going to push harder to just
Okay.
really get an idea of what
Awesome.
I can do on this, the bike. So, finished it, a little over 21, pace for the whole
21
thing.
miles an hour. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so,
I just did a live the other day about not racing or training by speed, but you really didn't do that. You noticed that your speed was that high, but you did respect your heart rate and you knew
mhm,
what your heart rate was in training. So you kind of had a number not to go over. That's how you were able to choose, okay, I have more in the tank because my heart rate's only 160 and you're young. So your lactate threshold heart rate is a bit higher than someone who is older. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. But that was really cool that you were able to assess the situation and then push. I don't know if there's any wind as well. So maybe you had a tailwind on the way back too. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. And so I know the fact that you were able to stay aero, that's just biomechanics on the bike, right? So
Yeah.
you make up all the drag on your bike. So when you move to a tri bike, you're just less, there's less resistance. So you can go faster. So it's pretty exciting that you got to experience that firsthand on your first race. So you're excited about having a new tri bike, right?
Yes, very excited. Yeah, I had a lot of fun on it. So but yeah, that talking about the drinking, I had practiced just kind of coming up and then just to get my
Okay, right.
water bottle from underneath the seat, and then like I don't know. It's just
You just decided to stay in aero and do it then,
yeah,
right?
and
Yeah.
so it wasn't something I practiced, but it like you say, it went well. I was like,
Yeah, that's awesome.
that
And they
was
also have
cool.
aero bottles. I know you might not have seen that or you didn't have this, but they do have aero bottles that fit right between your aero bars that you can have a
Yeah,
straw. That's what I do is I have a straw so I could never have to come out of aero. So that might be
yeah.
your next investment.
I I'm gonna be honest, I almost bought one before the
Yeah,
race, but I did. I saw one at the bike at the shop. I saw one when I went to get my fit, on the bike.
right.
I I saw one in the store, and I was real close to buying it. But I was
Yeah,
like,
so that just makes it easier. So you don't even have to reach down at all. You just undo the straw and you pop it in your mouth and then you tuck it back in. So, that might be something, for the future. Okay, let's talk about the run.
yeah. So yeah, run like you say, run. I kind of you know definitely definitely felt different. Coming out, you know, doing the run. Then I had several
Right.
brick workouts, and things, but I guess had definitely could tell felt different than just
Yeah, so coming off of a 21 mile an hour bike on a tri bike to then
yeah.
running a 10K off of that, you feel your legs maybe a little bit more than you've ever felt them. Am I right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could real calf muscles was where I kind of
Right.
felt the most fatigue.
Yeah.
Um,
And so
then,
Ollie and I were actually talking about that's where we really want to get some video of you because there's a chance that you could have been pedaling with your toes down a little bit, which
mhm,
shortens your calves. Okay. So when your calf gets shortened, and then you can always take some time right before you go into transition and like put your heels down and stretch your calves a little bit before you hop off the bike and start to run, because you did comment that your calves were tight for like the first 2 miles. So it could have been that. So we could definitely need to
mhm.
check your pedaling mechanics, but you were able to work it out, right? You just ended up just pushing through.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like you said, they were fatigued, but not anything I couldn't manage. And so, but it felt good that it loosened up after a mile or two too.
That's awesome. And then were
So,
you able to negative split? Were you able to get faster as you went through the run?
I did not negative split. I was my goal was to run, a 7:15 pace for the whole thing. And and I kind of set 7:15 is where I'm going to start, and I'm going to try to get faster, and I started out first mile 7:15, and then went into that second mile and got down to 7:05, and then like
Too
I got
fast, too soon. Yeah, too
yeah, too
fast, too soon.
fast, too soon, and I backed off to like 7:20 that turned into 7:30, that turned into 7:45, and then
Yeah,
so, but I mean, able to still, you know,
finish strong.
finish, still finish strong, but you know, definitely could, you know, get a little bit stronger legs, for that run.
So honestly, you probably could have done the 7:15, but here's the deal. You should have started at 7:30.
Hmm.
So this is pacing and it's a skill, right? And it's really hard to control ourselves. When we come off the bike, that first mile feels amazing. and we kind of fool ourselves that we can hold it, right? And we
Mhm.
typically, if we don't have a plan to follow, and then we're going only by feel, you're going to screw yourself, just because you're always going to end up getting slower because you feel so good in the first mile. But if you can learn to control yourself, and you can hold a 7:15 average for a 10K, if you started at the 7:30 and then you went 7:25 and then you went 7:15 and then you went 7:10, 7:05 and then finished at sub 7, you honestly could have done it. I believe. I think you have the fitness for that. But this is where the pacing has to happen, because
Mhm.
there's just something physiologically that happens when we blow that match. We can't recover from it, right? You went down to that 7:05 at mile 2. It was just too soon. You know what I mean? So then
Mhm.
you kind of positive split it. But that's a skill. You're going to learn it. You're going to learn it. There's no doubt in my mind that you're going to be able to hit that no problem in the future.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, so happy for. Were there other competitors that you were trying to catch up with or pace against, or were you in the lead the whole time?
There was you could definitely, I guess, coming off the bike, I guess it had and they did it by age group. Sorry, I
But
kind of jumped around the place,
that's
but
okay. Yeah.
they started the swim by age group and then sent two people, every 10 seconds. So it's kind of hard to tell like
Yeah,
where
you
you're.
don't know who's in what age group or anything,
Yeah.
right? Exactly. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody's in the same age group, but if you started, whatever, 3 minutes apart, you don't know where you're going to end up.
Exactly. So yeah, it was hard to tell. You started recognizing people on the course, like, hey, I saw them ahead of me on the bike ride, and I just passed them on the run, but you don't
Okay.
know when they started or what.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You
It
know.
makes it harder to tell since COVID and they don't have the mass swim start, you don't have that ability to like see who's in front and who's behind, right? And it kind of makes it more exciting, but it can also prevent you from really pushing really, really hard at the end, because you don't know where you are. Is there someone to actually chase down, or do you have it in the bag? So it's, as you get more, if you have the same people that you're racing with, sometimes you can spot those people and then maybe start together or close by them. It can add a fun little element to the race,
Yeah.
strategy.
Yeah. No, that does sound like that'd be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I have all the time, like a few people, they're like, oh man, I missed first place by like 1 second. I didn't know that person was, competing against me, or they came in 3 minutes behind me and we didn't know we were racing against each other. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. All right, awesome. Well, Joseph, is there anything else you'd like to share? I just wanted to take this time to celebrate your success. And also, before you say that, let's talk about what's next, because we kind of talked about it a
Yeah.
little bit before we went live. And you've done a couple sprints, and now you've done your first Olympic, and you said that you want to go to a 70.3. Is that right?
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, that's is is something that always you know, sounded appealing, and definitely with this experience, definitely, kind of want to see what that feels like. And
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to just give you a little bit of advice that it's hard to get faster and go longer at the same time. And so, in my philosophy of coaching, my coaching principles, I always work on speed first, right? So a couple sprints, a couple Olympics before you ever go to that 70.3. Because once we start adding volume into the training, you're not going to be able to handle physiologically, your body can't handle as much speed work, right? So you're going to
Mhm.
be sacrificing some speed to go longer. So it doesn't mean you can't do it, right? It doesn't mean that you couldn't take, the rest of the fall and build up volume and still work on speed a little bit to get to maybe like the Clash or Miami Man 70.3 or Clash 70.3 in November or December. But another option would be get really, really good at the Olympic, right? Now that you've
Yeah.
done one Olympic, but let's get that time down. You did a 2:20 and it was a true Olympic distance. So get it closer to like a 2:10 or even a 2 hour Olympic distance. And then from there, transition into the half Ironman, you'd be looking at like a sub 5 hour half Ironman, as opposed to maybe a 6 hour or between a 6 and a 7 hour half
Mhm.
Ironman for your first one, just because it's such a much longer race. And there's so many more logistics that a lot of times people show up and they're disappointed at how they do on their first 70.3, just because they're fast, but they weren't able to deliver because it's a completely different animal than an Olympic distance race.
Yeah,
You know what I
that
mean?
makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. And I, like you say, I think, yeah, that makes complete sense because, like, how I kind of started with the 5K, in 2022. That's kind of not knowing what I was doing a little bit.
Right.
What I've kind of been able to do to this point was, I
Yeah.
got, I ran a bunch of 5Ks, and then
Yeah.
I was like, well, then I did a 10K, and then I did,
Right.
and so yeah,
You took
that makes
the time.
complete sense.
Yeah, you took the time to really get good at the 5K and you did 3 sprints, right? So you kind of
Hmm.
got some better skills to then apply to this Olympic. And if
That's
you
right.
take the same thing, that might be something to do. And the good news is there's plenty of Olympics, coming up to fall. Miami Man has an Olympic. Key West, we're all going to be in Key West. I'd love to have you join us down there for the Olympic. That's an awesome race. Yeah, so there's tons of options, and I can't wait to hear what you decide, if you're going to go long or if you're going to try to go stay Olympic and just get faster.
Yeah. Yep.
All right,
So
cool. Anything else you want to share?
yeah, I think only other thing I had, on my list, or that we kind of were going to cover, is kind of like who else you thought this program might be for, and like I really think it's for anybody. I think anybody that wants to kind of challenge themselves would really enjoy it and would get the benefit of it, and um I think it would just be a lot of, new experience. I think even if you just did one or two, like, it'd be a great experience for anybody.
Yeah. And so did it have any kind of crossover into the rest of your life? Did you change in any other way, since you've been doing the sport, not just with us, but since you've been doing triathlon and you decided to get in shape, and I think you lost like 20 pounds since 2021, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. So how has the sport and getting back into sport kind of changed your life for the good? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think time management is better. I think having something to be passionate, I think being kind of passionate about something, just gives you more, really kind of,
Purpose, right?
it feels good to, to set a goal and meet it, so, like, it's just like you say, it's just, I enjoy what I do for work, and I, enjoy my, family and things, but also, being able to kind of have, something else to, like, really give my attention to is just really, really, really fun for me, so
Awesome. I love that. I just got goosebumps.
yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey, Joseph. We couldn't be more proud of you here at Full Circle Coaching, Coach Ali and I, and she was your main coach, so I know she worked really hard to help you. But yeah, congratulations. I'm super proud. All right.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yep, no, appreciate all y'all's help, on the way. And yeah, look forward to, like you say, I might take the weekend, look at some races online, and, get back to you on
What's
what I'm
next?
thinking. Yeah, that's right.
Yay. I always like to have a goal right away.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this awesome story of success on Joseph's journey to triathlon. And I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.